Hey there guys, welcome back to the deck profile with yours truly, Paul Reisman. Today we are taking a look at my Brandhardt m.ha deck list from the recent feature match. So let's dig right in.
This session brought to you by Odyssey Games for pre-orders and sealed product, TCG Prime for tons of singles and supplies, Cardo Doko for international rulers looking for products, and FowlLibrary.com for articles and wonderful deck lists,
as well as our guest lecturer members King Pearlshine, Vite Ramen, Mognite, and Darren Noblock.
Class is in session.
All right, we are here. We are playing Brandhardt, Blazing Stern, our sword whip boy extraordinaire, alongside the cutest little unicorn owl lady, Maya Wild Estrella. I'm going to be real with you. Maya is here to support her wild skills, and that's it. But you definitely don't have to build her like this. This is just my version of the deck. It's going to be a little bit of competitive, a little bit of fun. So let's get right into it. First of all, we need to talk about Protuberance, the Star Whip. This is an amazing, amazing card. What if Guinevere had Quick Cast and produced Will? That's what we have here. Also, what if Guinevere, when she tapped, turned into a 10-10 with Swiftness and First Strike? That's what you get here. You can tap to turn into Brandhardt. He's a 10-10. He's big. Whenever you play a Blazing Skill, you deal 4 damage. Incredibly relevant. And then when you can just pay 1 red to target a Blazing Skill in your graveyard, it'll have Remnant until end of turn. You can only do that on your turn and once per turn, otherwise this would get really out of hand really fast. And it's probably a good thing we have a hard once per turn on this guy, right? So here we are, Protuberance, the Star Whip. An amazing, amazing regalia. So how are we going to make use of this? We are going to start by playing Blazing Burst. This card also requires a calculator to use. Deal 400 plus 200 times the amount of Blazing Skills in your graveyard to target opponent or to a J/Resonator. You can also draw a card and produce a red for activate abilities, which is really helpful. If you chain it, you get both. Very, very strong card. Oftentimes, you don't even want your Blazing Skills in your hand. You want them to be in the graveyard. So, I mean, the fact that this can just be 1 cost, quick cast, deal a whole bunch of damage to your opponent out of nowhere is kind of good. Probably the best card in the deck is Burning Storm. You can pay 1 red less to play this for each Blazing Skill in your graveyard, and you can pay, that's for the first time you cast it that turn, right? So if the second time you play Burning Storm, it is going to be a full 5 cost Blazing Skill chant, right? It's got quick cast, it does 400 damage, plus an additional 200 damage, multiplied by X to your opponent and each J/Resonator they control, where X is the number of Blazing Skills in your graveyard. So, this thing is absolutely nuts. The fact that it burns both you and the field, your opponent and the field is insane. Absolutely, definitely the best Blazing Skill in the deck. Second best Blazing Skill in the deck is Flaming Thoughts. So I ask you, what if Conclave of Dragon Mountain not only was a Blazing Skill, but also discarded 2 immediately, and if you discarded the Blazing Skill, you got an extra mana. This card is absolutely fantastic. I don't know what else to say. Back in my Yu-Gi-Oh times, we had Graceful Charity, which got hard banned, this is exactly what it is for Brandhardt, and it definitely shows. It also just produces you a red will, which is crazy. Just crazy, crazy, crazy good. Because you can chain these together. You can play Flaming Thoughts, discard a Blazing Skills, you get the red, play a second copy, and that is not hard for the deck to do at all. We are also, I'm actually jumping around this list a lot, but it's only because I didn't organize it before yet. We're also playing 3 Boys Staring At. This is not as generically good as Muse Staring At or Girl Staring At. However, for this deck, it's insane. So it doesn't count as a Blazing Skill when being sent from the hand, but once it's in graveyard, it counts as a Blazing Skill toward what you were trying to do in the deck. You can quick cast it and have it draw a card. And when this card is put into the graveyard from your hand, you can draw a card. So when it's discarded, you add another card to your hand. So it's really good to cast off of Protuberance. It's also really good to cast off of Flaming Thoughts. Because even though it doesn't necessarily count toward this effect, the fact that it's getting sent at all means you get to draw a card, which is really helpful. So then the last set of skills that we have in the deck are the wild conquests that I play. Now this is the reason that I play 4 Blasting Waves and 4 of the Reincarnation's Memoria. For the second effect, you really do need those stones in the deck. I tried this without those stones. It doesn't go well, and so for you know, unless you're playing other cards that allow you to look at things as Wind Magic Stone, this is not gonna work. And so the fact that it works so much better since I changed the stone says a lot. It gives something +10/+10 and draws you a card, or you can destroy any number of target non-Magic Stone, non-Jade Ruler, non-token entities with combined total cost of X or less, where X is the number of entities of Magic Stone type when Magic Stone you control. That's a mouthful. Basically, if it's not a token and it's not a Jade Ruler and it's not a Magic Stone, you get to blow it up to the total cost of the wind type Magic Stone you control. So if you have 3, you get to blow up stuff for a cost of 3. It's a really, really good and really helpful card to have in this list. That +10/+10 draw card is also incredibly insane. So this card was absolutely worth putting Maya into the deck. So now let's talk about the other stuff we have in this deck, right? So we're playing Brandhardt Maya, we're playing Blazing Skills and Wild Skills, so Remote Island Oni made sense to me. This card was really interesting when we got it spoiled, and it definitely can come out. There are times in which I don't even need this card, but the fact that it's just a casual 14/14 with swiftness and precision and pierce is really relevant. You have to attack with it every turn. That's not a drawback, that's a feature. We also have a couple of Yggdrasil Heroic Spirit of the World Tree. And for those of you out there who have these, yes, I am using the red background ones because it fits thematically. You get to search your deck for a regalia that shares an attribute based on the will that you pay into it, and then once it's on the field, you can produce 1 will of any attribute to play regalia only. Turns out, this card is actually a pretty good support card for cards that have quick cast and are called regalia. So this card is actually really good for keeping your combo going. I never found myself wanting more of this card. In fact, at 2, I saw it way more often than I thought I ever would. So 2 is probably okay. It's also probably a decent card if you just have like 1 open slot. It's just a 5th Perturbance at that point, so this card's decent for that. I'm playing 2 Brandhardt's Brigade. I wanted to play the card, right? It's Brandhardt's Brigade. I mean, I wanted to play it. Obviously, it's a 2 cost as compared to the 1 cost, which is the World Tree Warrior. They both have the Fire Breathing effect for all your Blazing Skills in the graveyard. You get +2/+2 for each of them. But this is also interesting because you can remove a Blazing Skill in your graveyard to get additional symbol skills. I just thought this card was cool. I started playing the deck a little bit, thought this card was cool. I just wanted to play a couple copies, and that's kind of where the deck goes into the more casual mode a little bit. I just wanted to play, this maybe is not the most optimal choice for the deck, but I just wanted to play a couple because it's Brandhardt's Brigade. Also on top of that, I'm playing 2 Welsor, the Archmage of Fire. This is not Messiah, it's worse Messiah, right? Raging Messiah is definitely a better card than this, but when have you ever seen Welsor get played, right? That's incredibly important to recognize here, right? So you can just, for red and red, you can reveal the card, put it into the field, and then it copies the chance you play that turn. Just felt like a classic example of red combo. So I wanted to put this in the list just for a little bit of fun. It's absolutely not necessary. In fact, if you're wanting something a little bit more potent and a little bit more consistent, I'd probably say just play Raging Messiah instead. But I'm a fool of a toque, so I played this instead. Then finally, Electra, Shooting Star of Fire. This I did not think was going to resolve nearly as much as it did, but it absolutely did. This card cannot be cancelled, damage cannot be prevented, J Resonators dealt damage by this card this turn cannot attack or block, players dealt damage by this card cannot play spells. Enter effect. You can remove an armament sub-ruler you own from outside the game that does not share a name with the sub-rulers you control, and put it into the field as a new ruler in your area. This card deals X damage to your opponent and each J resonator they control based on its attack. This card just wins the game against Tree, which is honestly what all that text just says to me. This card just wins. There are ways to stop it, though, so just keep this in mind. The way to stop this is to chase the inner effect and kill it with the Stein spell, or to play Lorite and cancel it that way, too. Prison in the Lunar Lake would be a spectacular way to kill this thing right out, because it not only stops the inner, it just pops the card, too. This card is, by far, not unbeatable, but it is going to hit the field. The question is, what are you going to do when it does? And sometimes your opponent just doesn't have the answer, so they do end up losing. That being said, I never really went and got armament sub-rulers, but if I did, I just threw some, like the amulet orb that prevents my resonators from being canceled, or the headband, and the sickle, and the flag. I mean, they were there. If I wanted to be, cheeky, they were there. I also played 3 Divine Lightning. I couldn't contract with this into Predator, of course, but what I could do is shut off Tree. We wanted to make sure that we actually had ways to shut off rulers in this deck, and if that was never an issue, you can just target a J Resonator that loses all abilities until end of turn, then you deal 8 damage to it, which is not bad by any means, right? It's kind of like Flame of the Outer World, except it's chaseable, so it was okay. I never felt like I needed it, though, which is strange. Strange enough. I just needed Electra more often than not. But this was good to have in the back to get me good to go. Like I said, I played 4 Blasting Waves, 4 Reincarnations Memoria, and then 2 Magic Stone of Summer's Breeze. This card, I don't care about the 3 damage to me. At this point, I'm just looking to make sure that I have Wind Magic Stones to work in combination with this card. Are there any differences I would make in this list? At this stage, I don't know, honestly. One of the major things this deck automatically loses to are things like Magic Stone Research Institute removing your graveyard, Essence of Athenia, Evil Elemental Uprising. So if there was a way for me to put that stuff either back in my grave or to shuffle it back into my deck, that would be a really handy tool to have in the sideboard. But basically, anyone who knows what they're going into, especially in the metagame against Brandhardt, they're going to be playing in such a way that they're going to make sure his spells do not happen. Probably the biggest things to stop are going to be his Burning Storm, and if you're able to kill him on his J-Ruler side, or even just prevent his Perturbarance from actually hitting the field, you're going to be doing a really, really, really solid job here in preventing the deck from going off. I'd also maybe throw in one of the m.ha contract, just because it can sometimes be helpful. I do have all of these Windstones that are treated as Windstones in the Magic Stone deck, so she's able to come out and just be giant. She can blow up all of my opponent's flowers, for instance. If they happen to be flowers that are flying at that time, they can just completely wreck that. They get huge, they double stats. I mean, it's not bad to have that card in general, so there might be a place where I just play one of that in place of something else in the list. But other than that, I'm really happy with the list. It's really fun how it turned out. The deck is absolutely insane. I felt like Roy Mustang the whole time, just burning my opponent until they couldn't move anymore. So anyway, guys, this has been Paul. I hope you've enjoyed this list. If you have, let us know down in the comment section down below. Give us a like while you're down there. And what are you doing if you're not subscribed? This is the premier place for Force of Will content, so you want to hit subscribe for more deck profiles like this. We got tons of videos coming out for Clash at the Star Trees here, so make sure you're subscribed for those deck profiles and those feature matches. With all that being said, guys, this has been Paul. Catch you next time.